I walked into my own anniversary dinner and saw my girlfriend smiling at a man she swore she barely knew. And right then I realized the person she brought to celebrate us was the same man she'd been sneaking off to see behind my back. That moment cracked something in me. Something I knew would never heal the same way again. My name is Aaron. I was 30 when I met Julia, 28 at the time. We lived quietly, simply, and for a long time I believed we were happy. We had a rhythm that felt easy. Movie nights on the couch, late morning talks, random adventures whenever we felt like escaping the world. She made me laugh, and I made her feel safe. At least that is what I thought. We had our little anniversary tradition too. Every year we picked a small place, something calm and private, somewhere we could just enjoy each other without distractions. I looked forward to it every single time, in the weeks leading up to our anniversary. Though something felt off with Julia. She became strangely protective of her phone, angling the screen away from me like it was a fragile secret. She stepped outside to take calls she claimed were from friends. She wore this distant smile sometimes, like she was laughing at a joke that wasn't mine. When I asked about it, she brushed it off and called me dramatic. I kept telling myself not to read too deeply into it. After all, people get stressed, people get busy. And I wanted to trust her. I told myself trust meant not jumping to conclusions. But even with all the excuses, the feeling that something was wrong only kept growing. The real red flag came the night she came home late. Her hair was slightly messy. Her lipstick smudged just a little. She blamed traffic. But then I caught her smiling down at her phone and whispering something that made her cheeks flush. She didn't notice I was standing behind her. She locked the screen the moment she heard me and said she was just watching something funny. That sinking feeling in my chest didn't go away. It only deepened. Still, I convinced myself to wait, to breathe, to give her a chance to tell me the truth. Then came our anniversary night. She insisted on planning everything herself this year, even though I usually did. She told me she wanted it to be a surprise. I figured maybe she felt guilty about acting strange lately and wanted to make it up to me. I tried to stay optimistic. I even dressed nicer than usual, thinking maybe this would be the night we got back on track. When I walked into the restaurant and saw her sitting with a man I had never met, my stomach dropped. She looked up at me like nothing was wrong and waved me over. The man beside her stood up slowly, trying too hard to look polite instead of uncomfortable. Julia introduced him as an old friend who happened to be in town and said she invited him because he had been going through a rough patch and needed company. The explanation felt too neat, too rehearsed, too convenient. He barely looked at me, barely spoke, and every time she laughed at something he said. She touched his arm in a way I knew wasn't new. As the dinner went on, I watched their eyes meet. The way do people meet who have shared far more than conversations. There was a familiarity between them that you don't build overnight. I noticed how her hand lingered on his shoulder when she leaned in to whisper something. I noticed how he looked at her like he already knew every curve of her smile. And the worst part was realizing she wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. She brought her affair partner to our anniversary dinner and expected me to sit there like a fool. I didn't confront her there. I didn't want a scene. Instead, I excused myself, said I was grabbing something from the car, and walked outside. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. I opened her messages. She had forgotten to log out on our shared tablet earlier that week, and I remembered it suddenly, like a gift from the universe. I scrolled through and saw messages from him. His name was Leo. I froze when I read the words she sent him that very afternoon. She told him she wished she were celebrating with him instead of me. She told him she loved him. She told him tonight would be the night she finally figured out how to end things with me. Everything inside me broke at once. The betrayal hit me so hard I had to sit down. My chest felt tight. My eyes blurred. I had loved her with everything I had, and she treated me like a placeholder, someone to keep around until she found someone better. But once the heartbreak settled, something colder and clearer took over. If she wanted to play this cruel game, she was going to lose in a way she didn't see coming. I walked back inside, calm and steady, almost too calm. I sat down and looked right at Leo. I told him I knew who he was. I told him I hoped he enjoyed the little messages Julia sent him today. The color drained from both their faces. Julia tried to speak, but I raised a hand and cut her off. I pulled out my phone, opened the messages, and placed it face up on the table. They both stared at it like it was a bomb. Primetas smiled politely and said they deserved each other. I wished them a lovely evening, and I walked away from the table, from the restaurant, and from Julia's stunned silence. I didn't shout. I didn't insult her. I didn't cause a scene. I simply removed myself from the story she had rewritten without my consent. She tried calling me non-stop that night. She begged to explain. She told me it was a mistake. She said it wasn't what I thought. But the thing about truth is that once you see it, you can't unsee it. I blocked her. I blocked him. I packed her things and left them outside. And I never looked back. In the weeks that followed, I focused on myself. I rebuilt the parts of me she had chipped away with her lies. I realized I had lost more than a relationship. I had lost my trust in my own judgment, but healing came slowly. And one day at a time, I found myself again. Stronger, clearer, unbroken. Her plan to upgrade from me backfired. She thought she could play two lives at once and walk away untouched. Instead, she lost both. I heard later that Leo cut things off with her after that night. Turns out, even affair partners don't like discovering they were the second choice. The lesson I learned is simple but powerful. When someone shows you where their loyalty truly lies, believe them the first time. And when betrayal tries to break you, use it as the fire that rebuilds you stronger. Never settle for someone who treats you like an option while you hand them your heart. Subscribe to SilkMirror for more real-life stories of heartbreak, revenge, and transformation.